change. Oftentimes it's framed in a positive way, but we have to just face the negative changes that come in our life. Negative change. It can be used to make your self-development much more effective. Use this technique. We talk a lot about change and how if you really want to see change in your life, then you have to sort of change what you see in your mind, and it really starts there. And there's other videos that we've talked about it, and we're going to talk about it some more in more videos, yada, yada. But the idea I want to talk about with change today is the kind of change that oftentimes we try to avoid, or we try to control our lives so it doesn't happen. And this is the unexpected loss. And it might even be an expected loss. But oftentimes when change revolves around some form of loss or some form of pain, we tend to try to avoid it. We tend to try to control the situation so that we don't have to experience it. And regardless of how good we think we control the situation or how much we think we can try to avoid a situation, there's going to be some loss in your life that you weren't expecting and you can't control. The death of a loved one is a great example. There's other ones too. I mean, if you think about not just the death of loved ones, but what's going on in the parts of the world that are warring right now, there's a lot of people that don't have enough control over their life to even plan much beyond a week. And so when we really take a look at change, and oftentimes when we talk about like the change we want in our mind or the change we want in our lives, it's framed in a positive way, and it should be. But we also have to acknowledge, or we have to be ready, or we have to just face the negative changes that come in our life, the losses that come in our life, the things that are they're very uncomfortable. And the silver lining is most of those experiences, when I've used them as momentum for self-development, they've been extremely effective and helpful. This is the idea I want to share today. It has to do with the crystallization of the self. And the idea is that as we work through our lives, the everyday part of our lives, we wake up, we might spend some time for ourselves, we eat breakfast, we go to work, we come home, we take care of the kids, we go to bed, and we do this pattern over and over and over. It's almost as if our lives become crystallized in this kind of, I like to really compare it to a vinyl record. We have a groove that's cut, and we're doing this groove every day and every week and every month. And while we're in this groove, it's harder to implement change because we're in a groove and there's momentum. So to bring in a new instrument, or to bring in a new singer, or to bring some new element to the song, the groove's already there. It's difficult to make that happen. But when we experience loss, or we experience some kind of significant change that disrupts our lives, it's as if that record snaps and a new one needs to be pressed. So in these opportunities, and mind you, I intentionally use the word opportunities, when life is extremely painful, we have the ability to lean into some of the harder habits, or the habits that's been difficult for us to change during our everyday routines and our everyday lives. We're able to sort of implement things and put things in that when the record gets pressed again and our everyday lives start back up and we start to do that groove, we've added that instrument, or we've added that singer, or whatever the case may be. We now are on a cycle that's more or leaning towards our self-development, our self-wants, our hopes, our aspirations, our ability to deal with the world. And so if you happen to be going through a situation where you're experiencing loss, or you're experiencing some type of significant negative change, it can be used to accelerate and make your self-development much more effective and efficient. I could give you plenty of examples from my own life, but the one that is probably the one that I got to see from the outside was in 2010, my family and I made a big move from Florida to Arizona. And This basically uprooted the kids from their normal crystallized self, the record that had been playing. And as we're in the plane, or as we're in the airport preparing to board the plane, I tell them this whole concept. I tell them that with this snap, they're able to put anything back in place the way they want it to be. Fortunately, my children, they chose certain habits and certain things that were good for them that have carried on into their adult life. And so, and hopefully they still use this technique. I don't know if they do or don't. My point being is that I know that in my own personal use of the technique, it has helped me develop into much more the person of who I am and who I felt I was always meant to be. Remember, we're all stuck in the matrix. It's your job to get yourself out. I hope what we share helps. Have a great day.